Hello, my name is Cindy Johnen, and today I will be presenting my research on the feeding and foraging behavior of white-tailed deer, Otocoleus virginianus. These white-tailed deer are located in Lester, North Carolina, which is a small rural community located in western North Carolina. My causation hypothesis. Typically, white-tailed deer and other herbivores feed in large groups. As a causation hypothesis, I found that according to MacArthur, Banks, Boonstra, and Forby in their paper, The Dilemma of Foraging Herbivores, Dealing with Food and Fear, herbivores, like the white-tailed deer, must always choose between feeding and foraging and running the risk of predation. Therefore, their physiology, their stress hormones, connects hunger and fear, which activates their hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands when feeding. My development hypothesis states environmental cues and social hierarchy influence when and where deer feed and forage. Deer consider the risk of predation, their social status in the herd, and what time of year it is when feeding and foraging. This hypothesis was formed and was influenced by the work of Stone, Cherry, Martin, Cohen, and Miller in their paper Breeding Chronology and Social Interactions Affect Ungulate Foraging Behavior at a Concentrated Resource. My function hypothesis states white-tailed deer feed and forage in large groups to increase their chances of survival. My function hypothesis was influenced by the work of Biggerstaff, Lashley, Chitwood, Mormon, and DePerno in their article Sexual Segregation of Forage Patch Use, Support for the Social Factors and Predation Hypothesis, as well as Lashley, Chitwood, Biggerstaff, Marina, Mormon, and DePerno in their article White-tailed Deer Vigilance, the Influence of Social and Environmental Factors, and the work of MacArthur, Banks, Boonstra, and Forby in their article The Dilemma of Foraging Herbivores Dealing with Food and Fear. My evolution hypothesis was formed from the works of Lashley, Chitwood, Biggerstaff, Marina, Mormon, and DePerno in their article White-tailed Deer Vigilance, the Influence of Social and Environmental Factors, as well as MacArthur, Banks, Boonstra, and Forby in their work The Dilemma of Foraging Herbivores, Dealing with Food and Fear. My evolution hypothesis states white-tailed deer must balance feeding and foraging and looking for predators. As herbivores, they evolved to feed and forage in groups, like other herbivores, so that the group can look out for predators while the others feed. My research relates to Cogbooks modules Lesson 3.2, Group Life, Lesson 5.2, Feeding and Foraging, and Lesson 6.1, Defense Behaviors. White-tailed deer must constantly choose between optimal foraging opportunities and the risk of predation. Thus, they forage and feed in large groups, which helps to limit the risk of predation because one or more members of the herd are always on the lookout for danger. The references referred to in my research are from Biggerstaff et al., Lashley et al., MacArthur et al., and Stone et al. The following is the video on the white-tailed deer focal behavior, feeding and foraging. This video was taken in November 2025. As you can plainly see, there are only two of what appear to be young female deer. They appear to be very cautious while feeding, and one of them is on the constant lookout for danger. It should be noted that throughout this presentation, you saw photos of white-tailed deer that were taken in October 2025. In October, there were approximately a dozen white-tailed deer feeding and foraging in my study area. However, unfortunately, deer hunting season began soon after the photos in October were taken. Thus, when I went to make further observations and capture video of the white-tailed deer in my study area, these two young females were the only two I found feeding and foraging in my study area. As you can see from the video, they did not remain long in the area and quickly ran to the cover of the tree line. However, even while in the tree line, they remained vigilant, they remained able to feed, to forage, but also they remained on the constant lookout for danger. They did not have the protection of the herd, so they were unable to feed as long as they probably required, or maybe perhaps as long as they wanted. But nevertheless, they continued to be vigilant, they continued to forage, they continued to feed, and then they slowly but surely made their way up and into the tree line and out of sight. And these two young females were not seen for several days after this video was taken.